it's Nolan. How you doing? It's Thursday, what date is it? 10th of March 2022. Got one more day left of trading for the weekend, so let's have a look at some potentially good trades setting up some particularly interesting pairs. Before we do that, actually, let me just have a quick look at the news for tomorrow. Always keep your eye on the news, guys, the high priority news. This is a website called Forex Factory. There are different websites, but this is the most popular one. These times are GMT, so UK time, and we have some CAD employment news and the unemployment rate news tomorrow, as well as USD prelim, UOM consumer sentiment. If you want to know what any of this means or a little bit more about an explanation, you can click on the open detail, and it gives a little bit of a description there. If I just show you. Okay, so you don't necessarily need to know what it means, but what you do need to know is, okay, what time it's coming out and what currency it's going to affect. Because you don't want to be entering into a CAD trade, for instance, at 1 p.m. tomorrow when you've got high priority news coming out at 1:30 p.m. which could affect your trade. So always have a look at this. Always be aware of what news is coming out and when. Right, let's just start off with pound yen, because we did have, for our end of day traders, we did have a sell limit on this at right about what was it, 153.12, somewhere around that region. You can see this range in play from the top here, round about 158 to the bottom here, round about, we'll call it 149, big number. So there's a range going on. And you can see this double top pattern here. We've made a new low because we've broken this low. But you can also see this little bit of a structure in, well, not a structure, a little bit of resistance in the mid part of the range. So if I just clone this again and draw what I mean. So like these highs here, these lows, so it's support, support, resistance. So we had, or we still have actually, a buy limit around about 153.12. We were looking for price to come back into this zone, further move down into the bottom of the range. Now this came into a high, today's candle came into a high about 153, I believe, yeah, 153. And it's a pretty bearish candle, I must admit, so we may have missed the entry, but that doesn't matter, because potentially we could look for a sell stop underneath today's daily candle. If we want to do that, we'd have to check the reward to risk as well, and would it be worth it. And that is really to do with your personal choice as well. Some traders won't take a trade unless you can at least get a 2-to-1 or even 3-to-1 from the trade. So this one would potentially be a 1.86-to-1. Which is actually better than the end of day trade we placed before. So we'll be looking at that a little bit later on. Now what I would like to see is, I'd like to see a wick on the bottom of this candle. The problem with placing a sell stop underneath a candle without a wick, or very, very small wick, is you're probably highly likely to get triggered into the trade. Maybe even with the increasement of the spread at like 10-11 o'clock. At least with a wick like this, for instance, you can put your sell stop underneath and price is actually up here. When you've got a very, very small wick, obviously you want to place a sell stop below the candle low, but you're very, very close to where price is at the moment, so it's not ideal. So we'll see how that finishes off tonight anyway. Who knows, that candle still got an hour and 8 minutes left. It could look different, could have a nice little wick on there, and that would be a nice sell stop then into the bottom of the range. So that's pound yen. What else? Euro CAD. So we talked about some CAD news. Yes, CAD news tomorrow, sorry. Just want to show you Euro CAD on the daily. It's something we've looked at today. Obviously in quite a nice decent downtrend. Now there is a little bit of support here at 138, as you can see. We've tested it here back in December 2016, January 2017, February 2017. We came into that zone and we found support there, found it there as well. Okay, it's not a solid support zone because we broke through here, but it's something we need to be aware of. We've already seen buyers come in here. Now, what I'm telling you that for is because we're in a downtrend. We've got this 142 zone here, which, you know, price has been coming into that zone, rejecting, coming into that zone, rejecting, and now it's totally broken through, reached or formed a bottom on the 7th of March, and now it's come back into the zone and it's formed an evening star pattern. So that would be a typical sign. Evening star pattern at resistance. So if this is support, this is potentially resistance. An evening star pattern at resistance is a sell signal. Now, if we do choose, though we haven't done it yet, but if we do choose to sell this evening star pattern with a sell stop below the low, stop above the high, now I would be targeting 138. Actually, I'll probably be targeting just above there, maybe 138.10. And I'm saying that just because of, you know, what happened with these lows here. Might not hit that big number. Okay, the closer to we get to 138, the higher the probability of the trade reversing. So I probably want to come out of the trade before 138, but look at the reward to risk on that, 0.78 to 1. So if you were risking £1, you'd be getting 78 pence back, or $1, $1 78 cents. Now that doesn't make sense taking that trade. So let's just have a little look at a smaller time frame, because I just want to see what's happening. You know, you can see, okay, you can see that nice up move, nice movement from the buyers into the zone. Then we get price reversing. So for me, what would be a nice little trade would be looking for a correction and selling from there. So the thing that stands out for me straight away at the moment is 141, where we got this resistance here. We could pop back up into that zone, 141, form a right shoulder of a head and shoulder pattern, 1, 2, 3, and we could then make that move down towards 138. So potential for a short round about 141, stops above this high. So if you like this short, this could be a possible trade setup. And look what happens with that sell limit, and we take it down to just above 138, like I said, 138.10, somewhere around there. All of a sudden you're nearly at a 2%, a 2 to 1 trade, whereas before, what was it, 0.78? So it makes a hell of a difference. So have a little look at that as well. Euro CAD shorts, bear in mind we've got that CAD news 1:30 tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. GMT. Guys, you need to have rules about news. You need to have rules about lots of things actually in trading. I mean, for instance, you should have a rule about if you make a certain percentage profit in a day, okay, you stop trading. It might be that if you make 2% profit in a day, you stop trading. If you lose 2% profit in a day, you might want to stop trading. Not only should you have rules for if when you make money, you should have rules for if you're losing money, so you actually stop trading. Okay, because you won't have winning trades all the time. You are guaranteed to have losing trades. So you should have a rule as well about news. Okay, do you take trades when there's news coming out? Normally I wouldn't enter a trade if we've got high priority news within the next 2 hours. Okay, now this is an end of day trade, so It's something which you could look to place tonight if you wanted to, and maybe 11:30 tomorrow if it hadn't triggered, you know, a couple of hours before, you could potentially take the trade off and then see what happens with the news. But that will be personal to you. Like I say, have rules around news. Some of you might, your rule might be you don't care about news. You're just going to, you know, if there's a trade set up, you're just going to take it regardless of the news. Okay, that is also a rule. Okay, there is no rule about news. So have a little think about that. But yeah, that looks a fairly decent setup. Might be able to squeeze 2% out of that. So have a little look, see what you think. But yeah, it's coming to that zone. Look, nice bearish reaction. So just seeing if we can pull back and potentially get an entry around about 141. That's Euro CAD. We've looked at pound yen. Look at the Nasdaq in a little while. I just want to go through some forex pairs first. Pound Aussie. Now I've been looking at pound Aussie today. It hasn't. It's been misbehaving a little bit because it's not done what I wanted it to do, but that makes no odds. You know, if it did what I thought it was going to do, then I would have traded it, but it didn't do what I thought it was going to do, so I didn't trade it, so no problem. So what I'm looking at basically is pound Aussie, big move down. I think I talked about it in my last video, which was on what day is it today? Thursday. I think I did a video on Tuesday. I might have talked about this. It's had this huge move down, and I'm expecting a correction. Okay, now a couple of levels to think about are previous swing low here, previous swing low here, and we'd started, as you can see, we pushed down, we came into this zone here around about 178. Let me just show you 178 and 177.50, and buyers came in, took it up. Now we're actually seeing today, we're seeing Aussie strength and pound weakness, amongst other things, and we are seeing this push down. So this kind of impulse move isn't quite over yet because the buyers are not starting to control the market, not on this time frame, not on a smaller time frame. So what I was looking at, just to show you, was potentially I was looking for, you can see this double bottom here. Price has made an impulse up, it's made a correction, made an impulse, and what I was looking for, 1, 2, 3 here to bounce, start to move up, buyers to come in, look to trade it here, and then I was looking for it to break through this resistance here and potentially have a second trade, an add-in trade. Now this actually closed below structure and carried on down, so there was no trade set up. It wasn't doing what I thought it was doing. So potentially, you know, need to think about, well, what is this doing? We've had that such a big move on the daily. You know, surely we're going to see a correction. Well, yeah, we could. What we could be doing is, and again, you know, this one didn't work out, this idea, but we could be coming back into this zone and have a triple bottom where we test it here once, twice, 3 times. So I'm going to get rid of this because it's not needed. Get rid of that. So I'll be looking to see if price comes back into this zone and we start to get something like this. Some nice buying candles, big buying candles, correction. We get that correction, I'll be looking to go long at the break of the high, or if I find a morning star pattern, potentially I'll trade that as well, but I'll be looking for something similar to what we had here. So no trade for me at the moment, but I am looking for this to correct from the daily time frame movement, and I'm going to see if this double bottoms. It could even break this low because there could be some stop losses underneath there. Break the low and then start to move up. So just keep your eyes on this. No setup at the moment, but worth keeping an eye on because I think that it's definitely due. a correction on this daily time frame. Dollar yen is very close to a resistance zone, as you can see, daily resistance zone. It looked like it was rejecting actually today, but it's since recovered. So this is round about 116.30. Now we're very close to that zone. We're in the 116s. We're probably about 15 pips away from potentially what could be the top. Now I will be watching this. Now there's an option here for end of day traders. If you think that potentially we might reverse in this zone, you could potentially look for a sell stop underneath today's candle. Stops above the high, this high here or this high here, and you could look for a short down into 114.80, 114.80, where we've seen support here. That's a 1.72 to 1. So that is basically anticipating anticipating an evening star pattern, really. 1, 2, and then a bearish candle. 3, looking to reject. Now, what would be a better way to trade this short, but if you're an intraday trader, is, and I'll just show you the 1 hour time frame. Just going to sync that over there. Put a couple of moving averages on, the 8 in black and 20 exponential moving average in blue. You can very simply start looking for these moving averages to cross, and I would suggest on the hourly time frame, because this can trend quite nicely on the hourly time frame when those moving averages are crossed, as you can see. So there's no point looking to sell now. I mean, you can look for a break of a trend line if you want, but ideally what you're looking for, those moving averages to cross, some nice angle and separation, and what you really want is a pullback into the moving averages and then sellers to come into the market again. But keep your eyes on this, because it is a very nice area. Now, as I say, we're not just going to sell it, we need to have a reason, and that reason will be to see sellers take some control in the market, and I'm quite happy to do that on the hourly time frame if we get those moving averages cross at a nice angle, pushing downwards, etc. Remember guys, if you're trading moving averages, when they are flat like this, or there's no real angle, listen, you want to stay out of the market then. What you're looking for is, with moving averages, angle and separation. So in an uptrend, pointing upwards, separating, look. In a downtrend, pointing downwards, again, separation. Also, they need to be in the right order. So if you're using the 8 and the 20, in an uptrend, the 8 needs to be above the 20, and if you're in a downtrend, the 8 needs to be below the 20. So keep your eyes on that. Dollar yen, I think at the moment, but tomorrow, who knows, could set up. We might see the market favour a little bit of yen strength. Silver, I mean, I don't know whether you guys know this. I mean, I've been looking at this since last year, to be honest with you, and it's basically a forecast that I've made. But silver is trading within a range on the weekly time frame and weekly or monthly. And when it was back down here, my forecast was that price would come into the 28, potentially 28, 29 area zone at some point, and it's played out quite nicely actually. We've seen a new high here. We've broken this high. We've definitely made a bottom here where we've tried this 22 zone between 21 and 22, you know, quite a few times, and we've seen buyers come in. So what I'd be looking for here, obviously I'm still looking for price to move into the top of the range. Remember, this is a weekly time frame, so this is not necessarily going to happen overnight. or even the next week or two, could be months. But what I would be looking at is for a little retracement on this. I'm just looking to the left. Now look where price has pushed up and it's come back down towards that 24. We even saw it there, 24. So I'll be very, very interested if price came down towards this 24 zone. Now whether you want to set an alert, okay, or whether you want to place a buy limit, you know, that will be up to you. But that 24, somewhere around there, could be a nice area price to buy from if the market comes into that area. Just as a for instance, this is not a suggestion for a trade setup, but just as a for instance, you could have the buy stop. Let's say this low here was 24.018. So let's just say 24.02. Maybe a touch above that, and you might want to put your stop loss just to give it a little bit of leeway. So we're looking for price basically to bounce about 24. So you could have your stop at potentially 23.50. So quite a, well, it is a weekly time frame, I suppose. So quite a narrow stop when you look at it, but we are looking for price to basically come into the 24 zone and literally just stop and bounce. But that could be something you could look at with a target of, you know, 28, and that would be a 6.56 to 1. Now that is an amazing trade if that actually comes off. But remember, this is a weekly time frame. This will not hit target overnight, assuming it does even hit the entry at all. If you were to take this, assuming it doesn't stop you out, assuming everything goes okay, it could be 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, could be a month, who knows, you don't know. So you need to be a little bit patient, but it's still a nice percentage growth there. 6.5% is a great result. If you can get 6% in a month, I mean, that is a fantastic result. Okay, because if you can do that month in, month out, then your account actually doubles, assuming you don't take any money out of it. So yeah, 6% is kind of the magic number, really. So if you can do that, then brilliant. So have a little look at that, see what you think. 25 looks interesting as well, but I do favour 24 or somewhere around there. Just looking at these little spikes, these little wicks down, that does look fairly nice, doesn't it? One more from me. I've been looking at the Nasdaq recently. So I think I probably talked about this on Tuesday as well. You know, indices are traditionally bullish. Well, they are bullish basically. And what is happening now, we would look at as a correction in the market. And this is the third month of selling. Okay, starting to see a few. Got a wick last month's candle, and we're starting to see, you know, a wick in the same zone here. So could be looking for next impulse to the upside here. But what I just want to show you again, it's really, really simple, guys. You can use a trend line if you want to. Okay, so we are still moving to the downside on a daily time frame. So I mean, because we've had 3 months of selling, I'm very, very interested in that and looking for price to start turning around and start to be bullish again. So we can look for a break of the trend line, start looking for price to make higher highs, higher lows. You can also use moving averages again. Okay, those moving averages are in a bearish order on the daily time frame. Okay, we've got 20 above the 8, and you can potentially just wait for those to cross and to start being in the right order, 8 above the 20, angle and separation, and only then, okay, I'll start to look long. Okay, right at this moment in time, the sellers are still in charge of the market. You could try some intraday buy trades when the daily is a little bit overextended from the daily moving averages. Like here, look, we moved down, we were a little bit overextended, and we came back towards the moving averages. That will be a great time to look at intraday longs in a downtrend. Okay, because you are basically swimming against the flow of the market by buying at the moment. But that is something you can think about if you're interested in early buyers. Look to make sure that the price is overextended from the daily moving averages, and you want to start to see price start to move back towards them on a smaller time frame. Then that would be a good time to look to buy. Otherwise, look for these moving averages to cross. And when that momentum is bullish on the daily time frame, then there's going to be plenty of opportunities on smaller time frames to get in long on the Nasdaq, and that's the same in pretty much all the the indices. But I do like the Nasdaq. I like the way it moves. I like the way it moves around the moving averages. So there's nothing here yet, okay, guys. And when there is, believe me, I will be talking about it in my videos to make sure you are aware and to tell you what I'll be looking for. So thanks for joining me. EuroCAD potentially short into or towards 138. Pound Aussie, potential triple bottom happening. That's what I'm looking for anyway. Dollar yen approaching a lovely daily resistance zone where we could bounce, and look on the hourly time frame for those moving averages to cross, to be bearish before you start getting short on that. Silver, buy limits or set alerts around 24 or just above potentially, because that would be a fantastic area to get along from. Looking at the range play in that one. Nasdaq still bearish at the moment, but with 3 months of bears being in charge of the market in a predominantly bullish market, not too sure how long this is going to last for, but we'll keep our eye on that. Pound yen, we've still got our sell limit in place, but potentially we might think about putting a sell stop underneath today's daily candle to get into that momentum down towards the bottom of the range, towards 149.31. Alright guys, so I hope you took some good information from that. You found it interesting. If you did, please like the video, share it with traders. If you know anyone who be interested, like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel for updates, and they'll come straight to your inbox. And from me and the team, guys, have a great rest of your week. Trade safe, and we will speak to you really, really soon. Bye, guys.